I think one of the ways that time gets spent is actually through operationally moving slowly through dose escalation. It's actually very challenging from a patient point of view, and I think from a clinician point of view, to put patients on subtherapeutic doses. So there's a tendency, I think, to really say, let's wait and see when, especially if there's a large dose range, to get into those higher doses. So the more that the design can really focus on using the biology to minimize the dose levels that are chosen, I think the faster we can move through at least the dose evaluation. That I think can be one of the biggest challenges of spending too much time in phase 1. I think it really is about learning as much as you can in phase 1. So if we don't have the right dose, then the phase 3s, or you don't have the right patient population and patient selection, the phase 3s will, by definition, end up being negative. So that's a lot of time wasted and unfortunate waste of time for everybody involved, particularly the patients. So I think the more solidly we can actually understand both the right dose as well as the right patient selection strategy before we get into phase 3, the bigger the impact will be, the bigger the difference in outcomes between the control arm and a randomized setting, and the faster you'll get through that phase 3, because you'll actually have a body of really robust data before getting into the phase 3. And I think for oncology patients worldwide, many of those that participate in clinical trials ask good questions. They know what they're getting into, and they want to make sure they're getting onto a promising drug. So the more you know about its promise before you get into phase 3, the faster that phase 3 trial will enroll, and the more clear-cut the outcome will be. Yeah, I think we can get into a trap of trying to be too flexible because actually you can spend a lot of time writing incredibly vague language in a protocol and then having it really not be approved by regulatory authorities because it's actually too vague. And at some level, you can't predict everything you're going to learn in a phase 1 trial either. So you can't anticipate all the different things that you might need to do. You have to be able to respond to the data also. So I think one of the things I hope we're moving towards from a regulatory environment perspective is getting faster and better at actually amending trials if we need to, so that we don't lose time, because it's very hard to know everything ahead of time that you might run into. I think phase 2 definitely does have a place in certain scenarios. A lot of that might be randomized phase 2, so you get that early signal of comparison data, but I also think it's really just phase 2 in a different name. It's large expansions of phase 1s or a phase 2-3 trial. So I think it gets incorporated in different ways. That's why I kind of said I feel like there are no shortcuts. We kind of need all of those components of clinical development. You might group them one way or the other, but they also need to be there. I think AI, I hope, will help us a lot on the operational side and how we might accelerate those changes and responding to changes, because you can really do a lot of scenario building with AI. I don't think it'll get us away from learning what actually happens in real people and being able to maybe adjust on that basis. We might be able to adjust faster, but we're still going to have to learn what happens in real people and then change our strategy accordingly.